Hey everyone, I wanted to do hopefully somewhat of a brief overview of your second assignment. So for your presentation, it'll be video based here, so you'll be able to refer to it, and we don't have to wait till we're in class again for you to get started on it. I know a few groups were asking me about this already. So without further ado, here we are with your assignment guidelines. If you click on that PDF, it should bring up this for you. Here's your overview. If you haven't noticed, this is your check. This is where your marks come from. Use it like a checklist. So for example, down here at the grading, when you see APA, you get 2.5 marks from that. So make sure that's included. And then you follow the suggestions here under the more detailed directions that you get to ensure that you get full marks for that. Similarly, if you see something about effective medium used for your chosen scenario, make sure that that's the case. And again, you have more details under this aspect here to fill out and farther explain what each of these criteria are and how they're being viewed and graded. Okay, so let's just step back again and look at assignment 2 overall. Essentially, there's 2 components to it. There's kind of like the project part, so there's going to be potentially some written content, some sort of a project with more content in it, maybe written, and then there's a presentation aspect. Okay, so the goal of both of these is to pick a scenario based off of the list that you can find here. So you can find here. So you have a case study option list. If you click on it, you're in a whole list of different possible things that you can research and look into. So you can kind of ignore that first part of instructions, but here you are. So our first case study that you potentially could do would be related to women running marathons in and around pregnancy. So how does that affect a body? Is it safe, etc.? And you can take that scenario and modify it. Maybe you're not that interested in running, but maybe strength training. So you and your group could take this example and say, is it safe to do weightlifting during pregnancy? And so again, this is definitely part of our motor development class. We've spoken about pre and postnatal health, both of children, babies, fetuses, and women and mothers, right? So this is definitely in line with that. We have something about osteoporosis. You keep scooting all the way down. We have after school programs. Sorry, the formatting's a little funny there, but exercise and master athletes. So those are individuals that are older adults, or even just generally adults of a certain age criteria typically. So lots of different ideas to get you started. Now the goal is you can take these, again, modify it to be your own, or propose something, send me an email and let me know what you and your group are thinking. But if it has anything to do with motor development and it's a topic you're interested in, great, go with that. Okay, great. So moving forward, this first part, the point and the goal of this first part is to make some sort of a creative project where you can transfer knowledge. So it's called knowledge transfer. So what does that mean? Well, it means depending on your chosen scenario and who your target audience might be, any number of different ways can be used to transfer knowledge. For example, if you're at a doctor's office, you probably see pamphlets. Okay, so that's one way you can get knowledge to a population that needs it, and one format would be a brochure. Okay. Another one, if I'm doing public health promotion to do with childhood obesity, one of the best ways that we can help promote moving in children, especially for that audience, would be a advertisement or a video or something that would play in between YouTube videos or something. Again, using visual audio media to try to get to this target audience, which is probably already watching a lot of video media. So again, it's quite diverse. So if you are feeling like the instructions as far as how to deliver this project is a little unclear, it's because it's largely dependent on what topic you pick, and then what your group decides on would be the best way to deliver this content. So that's part of the project, is being creative and coming up with a way to effectively transfer knowledge. An example of what might not be a good fit would be if you're dealing with an elderly population regarding osteoporosis, and you want to make a series of TikTok ads or TikTok videos for that. Not an ideal fit between medium and population of what you're trying to get to. Okay, so again, excited to see what you come up with this. And that being said, it might not allow for an electronic submission. If there is a way to do that, great, submit it into the folder that you have allocated to you here. Gotta go back one. Allocated to you here, where assignment 2, you can submit anything digitized there. But that's not always the case, right? If you have a actual collage, a poster collage, and you feel this is important for a science fair, something like that, you'll obviously need to hand that in person at some point in time, okay? So again, if it can be digitized, hand it in that way. If it can't, I'll collect it in class on the due date, okay? Okay, yeah, and have fun with that. A lot, you're allowed, you can get creative, and again, the better fit to the target audience, the better. Also looking for content. Make sure your content that you're trying to explain and the knowledge you're trying to transfer is very clear. Okay. That being said, regardless of what your format is, podcast, whatever, I definitely still want to have some sort of citations of where you got this knowledge that you're trying to transfer. A minimum of 3 peer-reviewed articles, definitely not more than 3 non-peer-reviewed sources, but you can use them if you need to. And yeah, have fun with that. Here's your breakdown for that. Looking for APA, clear, appropriate to audience language and communication. For example, if you're communicating with a peer group of professionals, you can use maybe more scientific-based language. If you're communicating with a layperson or children, the communication needs to be appropriate for that. Okay, aesthetics and appropriate medium, as well as some sort of creative execution of that resource, are all going to garner you marks for that. Okay. Next up is the knowledge transfer package. Now, again, the wording is a little funny, but it's just meant to try to differentiate your presentation and anything that might come along with that versus what you might have done with this. Okay, you definitely want 2 different projects. You can't do a presentation for your knowledge transfer and then the exact same presentation for this in-class package delivery. So you can keep that in mind. That being said, they could be similar. You just have to be very clear as far as what the difference is in that delivery and how it's different, okay? But in the second scenario, you want to take whatever knowledge you're trying to communicate to a group and do a presentation, okay? So that presentation can take a number of different formats. Again, you're allowed to be pretty creative with this. I would encourage you to, again, try to stay along the lines of a presentation. So for example, if you want to do a skit, a real-time narration of a video, so like you are actively being the voice while you're playing a video and talking through some sort of educational video, that's fine. Yeah, whatever the format is, it's more of like an in-person presentation with the class, okay? And so you can say, okay, the class is actually a group of 6-year-olds in a gym class, and here's what we're gonna do to learn about how to move through the fundamental movement skills or something. So that provides us a context as to how you're delivering your presentation. So again, it might not be a classic PowerPoint presentation, which it can be, that's totally fine, but it's still related to your the scenario that you picked. Okay, so if your topic was osteoporosis and you made a brochure for your knowledge transfer part 1, when you get to the package presentation for part 2, you know, you're going to do a presentation on osteoporosis, you know, and maybe it's on ways to limit or help prevent osteoporosis. Well, then your presentation needs to target that audience and be done in a way that's conducive to that target audience, right? Regardless of what that might look like, and again, it'll be a little different for different groups, really look at A1 through 4 here. You have to be really clear about what case study you're doing and what you're conveying. You know, you can always do a preamble to set the context. Identify and clearly state the main issues you're addressing. So we're speaking about osteoporosis and what you can do to prevent it. Address the main issues. So again, if you're doing purely a skit, say you're like doing a skit between doctor and their patient, the preamble should really just be very explicit, very clear for the class what you're doing, what you're covering, and in particular the information you're trying to convey. So it's almost like a double presentation if you do a skit, I would suggest, where you can explain, okay, we want the patient to do more weight-bearing activity, increase calcium, and whatever else, okay? So say that ahead of time so the class knows as the skit's going along, we can watch for this as it comes along and as it might come up. Okay? Yeah, and other than that, make it aesthetically, visually, audially appealing and professional. So again, it needs to be polished and practiced. And so because of all of this, and while I'm still expecting to have APA formatted references, etc., you need to include something written for this presentation. And again, that might look a little different for everyone. Some people will actually hand out something written to the class or submit it electronically for them to see, for me to post or something like that ahead of time, so that you have your written information content as far as specifically all of these, you know, what crucial points are you trying to communicate through this knowledge transfer. More weight, again, osteoporosis example, more weight-bearing activity, more calcium. 2 points, great. Have that written on a sheet. Tell me your sources as to what supports using that, and submit that, okay? Okay. That being said, if you have a PowerPoint, obviously you just have a reference slide at the end of your presentation. Okay. Okay. So again, just to clarify the difference, this is more of a project that's generally written, although it can be audio-visual as well, is not a presentation, but can be more or less any other format that you want. In fact, you might want to, if you make a brochure here, you might want to hand it out or make it available to the class when you do your presentation, just as an example. Yeah, so non-presentation, and then you get into a presentation, and it's called, and you can do pretty much any other creative means of presenting any scenarios that transfers knowledge specifically to help with your case scenario, okay? Again, this will look very different for different groups, but ultimately the presentation will look more similar typically than what the creative package component or this creative more written content submission will look like. Okay. So for our presentation dates, you have a few to sign up for, and there will be a link that you can get to right here, sign up link. Okay, so right there that you can click on. I'll make it available with this announcement as well. And what it'll do is it'll lead you to this sign up sheet. Okay, and here's how you fill it out correctly. You're going to make a comment, so you're not going to actually edit the sheet. You're going to make a comment on whatever field that you're looking for. Now, the first thing that should be very, very clear, there's 2 sections here, okay? Make sure you're signing up for the correct section, okay? At most, and I see I haven't changed this yet. I'll change this, but we're going to have at most 4 groups per day. Okay, if we get through all groups, say on November 30th and 2nd for some reason, maybe it's just the way the numbers work out, we won't have any class on the 7th. That being said, if people sign up for the 7th, we'll come meet then, okay? Yeah, so make sure section 3 versus 4, make sure you sign up. So write make a comment and leave all your group members' names in that slot. And you can sign up but not have a topic yet, that's fine, but you can pick your date. If you have a topic, you can always put it in the topic criteria. The idea is if a group has already signed up with a case study topic that clearly has already been done by someone in your section, then you can't do it. You have to modify your case study a little bit. You can still be on the general topic area, but you have to modify that. If there's someone in the other section doing it, that's fine. You're not going to see each other's projects and stuff. So between the 2 classes, I'll see both of them. So, but yeah, okay. So that's how you sign up with that. Again, leave a comment. I'll go back and modify that and actually input it into the field, and that'll be the confirmation that you're good to go there. Okay. So again, the general approach is come on up to the assignment area, find a case study option, find something that's a topic area that you really like or you and your group likes. You can modify it. In fact, I want you to try to modify some of these as best you can to fit your group and your group's interests. Then you're going to come back here, you're going to pull up your case study sheet, and you're going to start thinking of what's a great way to go through this first part of knowledge transfer and start compiling that project. Okay. Again, that could look like business proposal, website, podcast, vlog, really anything that's appropriate to the group that your case study focuses on. And then from that and that information and research that you've done for that component, you're more or less going to turn all of that knowledge into a presentation of some kind and then present it to the class, okay? Yeah, hopefully that's clear. Hopefully you're ready to start signing up, figuring out what your case studies are, and getting some fun ideas flowing with your group. Next week, check out your schedule, but I believe you have a class purely to focus on developing this. I'll be available if you want to try to get a hold of me over Zoom or whatever. Reach out with an email ahead of time if you're going to want to get in touch, okay? Great. Have fun with this. It's a great way to wrap up the year and demonstrate all your integrated knowledge that you've learned from the course up to this point, and share that knowledge with the class and myself. Okay, great. Good luck. Have fun with that.